Who here can point out where Alaska is on this map? Hello, I am Andrea Lopez, and I have spent multiple hours researching and even going as far as spending money and time to visit the state of Alaska. As people living in America, it's important for us to recognize and understand each state, some of which, like Alaska, might not be in contact with another. In this speech, we'll explore how Alaska, a snowy tundra thousands of miles away from the mainland, became a state of the United States. We'll go over Alaska before America, the events leading up to the Alaska Purchase, and life in Alaska after being bought by America. Let's move on to our first topic, learning about Alaska before America bought it. So what was Alaska like before the Alaskan Purchase? Alaska was inhabited by many indigenous groups. These groups included the Aleuts, Haida, Athabascans, and many more native groups. It was common for the natives to live by rivers and coasts, which allowed for fishing and water resources. Those who lived near the coast relied on fishing, such as seals and whales, while inland groups would live off of caribou and moose. Years later, Russia would colonize Alaska. Vitus Bering was tasked with sailing towards North America, wanting to find out if these two continents were connected. According to Stebinska, in 1741, Bering reached Alaska, paving the way for Russian exploration. Under Russian rule, natives were converted to Christianity, killed by foreign diseases, and starved due to food shortages caused by overfishing and overhunting from the Russian settlers. Now that we've painted a picture of Alaska before joining the states, let's dive into the events that led to the states to this northern region. Russia, realizing Alaska's weakness, put it on the market. Russia's wealth was depleting from overhunting and from the long voyages. The overhunting of the sea otter heavily impacted the wealth of Russia and America. With little to no animals left to continue a successful fur trade, profits and support from Russia left Alaska poor and open to attack from natives and from the British. Russia struggles during and after the Crimean War. The Crimean War was fought between Russia and Britain, France, and the Ottoman Empire, which took precedence, and resources were spent on aiding the military in Europe rather than Alaska. Alaska was dying fast, so Russia and America made a deal. Alaska was sold to America for $7.2 million on March 30, 1867, although statehood was granted much later in 1959. Now that Alaska is owned by the United States, let's explore how this transfer of ownership affected Alaska. Let's view how the life changed in Alaska after being bought by the United States, such as the changes in indigenous culture. According to Swinson, an author who writes about the legal history and Alaska Native practices, quote, "Unlike the nations below them in the United States, Alaska Natives possess no such recognized treaty rights with the United States. Thus, the clarification of their uses and ownership of the land continues to unfold today." End quote. This gives us insight into the life of the natives post-Union. Natives were being stripped of the rights of hunting, fishing, and gathering on their own land. Now let's go over the economic and environmental changes after the American ownership. The American government extracted resources either from furs and meats to oils and minerals. Then they would hoard them, and this would cause natives to depend on the American government for resources. The extraction of these resources, such as fossil fuels, led and continues to lead to environmental degradation. According to Kirsch, a journalist on climate change, these extractions harmed the wildlife and the Arctic ecosystem. Now that we have details on the Alaska life post-Union, we can understand how Alaska was acquired and the changes America brought to this territory. In conclusion, today we were able to discover the past and present of the northern state of Alaska. First, we went over what Alaska was like before joining America, like its inhabitants and its colonizers. Next, we moved on to the events that happened for America to become interested in Alaska and acquire it from Russia. Lastly, we went over how things went for Alaska after being bought by America. So as we come back around to the map on the first slide, I'm sure everyone in the room can now confidently state where on this map Alaska is located. Thank you.